Hey, Monday group. It is good to see you, Sonder family. Welcome to your weekly setup. Can you believe we are in week 47? We are going to spend time this morning getting week 47 set up so that we can be kind to ourselves and kind to others and look at finishing this year. It's just kind of crazy how fast the fall is gone. My name is Jennifer Ogilvy. I get to be your on camera facilitator this morning. And we have a treat today. The fabulous Katie Gideon is my co-pilot this morning. As some of you know, she is coming to us from Scotland, and we are the original Team Texas. When we first started facilitating, she was down in the Houston area. I'm up in the Dallas area. And so we've dubbed ourselves Team Texas. So you have Team Texas on the call this morning, and we're just really proud of you first for getting going and logging on here and saying, okay, I've got some intentionality I am bringing to this week by sitting with your journal, sitting with your community, and getting set up. So, yeah, if you didn't already, well, first make sure you set your Zoom to everyone so that that's how we communicate during this time together. And if you didn't already share something that you're loving, drop that in the chat. I thought we could start off our morning with sharing maybe something that's new to us or I right this very moment I am loving that I went to bed kind of early last night. I had my three grandkids this weekend, and whew, I was so tired, so I was able to wake up after a good night's sleep. I put myself to bed last night, which is, y'all know, if you've been with me, I don't always do that. So happy birthday, Lori. And today is my husband's birthday, which is so that's fun. Y'all share. And a fun fact, Maya, one of our other facilitators, her husband's birthday is today. When we met each other in real life, we discovered that our husbands had the same birthday. So I love November people. My daughter-in-law last week. So yeah, y'all are awesome. Anyway, good to see you. Is there anybody here for the first time? I see a couple of y'all are on vacation and you are still sitting with your journal. Sonia and Dawn, I love that. And oh, Mary Lisa says, right now I'm loving this cup of coffee. Yes, y'all know me. I always have my extra large coffee when we gather together. I have coffee with my Sonder fam on Mondays. So, well, welcome, Nikki. We're glad to meet you. We hope that we see you again. I see Nicole is here in the chat. Nicole's a regular, and we thought we were losing you because she's been home on medical leave and she's getting ready to have to go back to school. So she's an educator. So we're glad you're here, Nicole. Maybe 1, 2 more weeks with you before you have to get back to reality or your reality. Anyhow, just love seeing y'all. It's a good way to start our week with each other. So when we do gather on these virtual meetings, we do share the community guidelines. And for those of you who are new, we just want to remind, this is how we remind everybody. We keep safe spaces here, but we want you to come as you are. You don't have to be in great moods. I saw somebody said earlier, thought I was going to miss it, but I'm here. I had a headache, a migraine, and anyway, so you just come as you are, get the support you need, and hang out with the best people in the whole world. But those community guidelines are there to remind us about those safe spaces that we create for one another. And then, of course, we've had this beautiful theme of kindness this month. The Dalai Lama says, be kind whenever possible, and it is always possible. And I love that because kindness truly is a choice. It's a choice in how we react to unkindness. It is a choice on how we act when maybe we don't feel so great. So, we can choose that. We can choose to find it. And that's kind of what our self-care journey is all about with Silk and Saunders, about us taking control so that we can create the life we want, right? Alrighty. So this morning, without further ado, we're going to work on our kindness mind map. We're going to do our rosebud thorn reflection, and then we are going to do those weekly setup pages. I feel a sneeze coming, y'all. Oh, I'm trying. I may sneeze. Um, and this is kind of fun. Kindness is free. Sprinkle that stuff everywhere. And if you ever need a taste of kindness, come to a social because you will find it. Um, so our mind map, for those of you, if we have any other new folks here as well, our mind map is a deeper dig into a deeper look, a more thorough look into the theme for every month. So it's like a bonus prompt that you will get to work on when you come to the weekly setups. And so, what we do is we take the theme, we get four considerations for that through different lenses. And we are in week 3. So, if you're just joining us for the first time, you don't have to go back and do week 1 and week 2 unless you want. You can grab a screenshot. I'm going to show you all the questions. But it's all about just taking this moment of extra reflection. And so, again, for the month, we've invited you to explore the quiet yet powerful strength that lives within you. We often think of kindness as grand gestures, but it's so much more than that. That anchor of empathy that connects you to others, which we love the connection with our Sonder family, the wisdom you gain from moments of genuine connection, and then that light that we carry forward. So, these weekly prompts are supposed to help us look at kindness not as just a simple action, but a valuable practice that shapes your past, present, and future self. And you've heard Meha, our founder, talk about she likes to think of Silk and Sonder as kind of like your gym for your mind and your soul, right? That work, how do we work that out? How do we work out? And so it's again, this idea of practicing things that are good for us that makes us better for everybody else in our world. So you can do this anywhere in your journal on a notes page. Some folks like to use the weekly scratch pad that you see, on the weekly setup. You could do it on sticky notes, the definition page. I suggested this month pages 28 and 29 because that was kind of that extra month or extra week since we had that transition week from October to November. Maybe those pages, quote page, notes page, anywhere you want. And I always like to give that tip. I like to do shapes, and so I use cookie cutters often, or my driver's license. I even keep a can lid here in my desk drawer that I can trace. So there's our 3 weeks of questions. Week 1, we started thinking about acts of kindness from our past that just brought that gratefulness into our life. The next week, we looked at sensory details. Always love framing our journal prompts out through our senses. And this week, we're going to go backward and revisit, kind of pull in some nostalgic moments, some nostalgic memories about feelings how we really felt when we saw kindness play out in our life. And that look back at those feelings is such a great way to do that practice so that we have like this base to fall back on during tougher times in the present. So I really like always that nostalgic peek into our lives. So today, again, thinking about how do you feel when you revisit those moments? And you're encouraged to map out the emotions that come up, even if they're mixed, even if it's like joy and longing, gratitude and melancholy, that kind of yin and yang of how we feel. And think about this question. How does remembering the past kindness inspire you to show up and be kinder today at this very moment? And I was able to work with Maya last night, and a lot of folks realized that, the nostalgic feelings all tend to be more of the happier feelings. So we can still feel that sense of longing, maybe a little bit of emptiness, but it's paired with such this joy, right? That sort of does that balance of feelings. So, um, again, looking at nostalgia, I found some information about why that's important. And so, some neuroscientists showed that positive emotional experiences, including those triggered by nostalgic memories, can stimulate the release of neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, those good chemicals that bathe your brain in the best ways. And it kind of kicks out like the cortisol and that fight and flight stuff. It's not just sentimental, it's a tool for emotional wellness, capable of boosting your mood, reducing stress, and reminding us of what matters most. So I think this look back is so critical to our health, our healthy selves. And so, we can think of that past emotion. You think, what did the past kindness make you feel? And then the past action, what did that person actually do paired with the current action? What specific small action can you take today to maybe create that feeling for someone else or maybe for yourself? So, as you consider this, feel free to share in the chat. And I'm excited to see. I've so enjoyed the mind map this month and getting to see the things that are just really heartwarming and kind in your lives. So share as you're comfortable. My friends, thanks for taking a moment to do this reflection. I want you just to stop and really notice how it feels to embrace that memory and what it brought up in your heart. And that's why this nostalgic thing is so important. Um, when you can think about, right now how you're feeling, remembering that kindness that you wrote about. So thank you for starting your day working on that with us. And for those of you who are comfortable sharing, thank you for doing that. Again, I have loved, loved, loved reading all these responses over the last few weeks. So now we're going to turn to page 36, which is our weekly rosebud thorn reflection. It just helps us have like this gratitude for last week. Last night when I was working with Maya, I asked in the chat, like, after you have done this rosebud thorn reflection as part of a normal practice, like what has it revealed to you? So I want you to really think about what this means in your life, this repeating of a weekly reflection and what it has shown you and what you've learned from it. Of course, the thorns are the things that, didn't go well. The challenges that came our way, sometimes they're temporary, sometimes they're just there. Oh, am I on the wrong page? You're right. It is page 44. I'm so sorry. Um, I'm just forgetting that we've had had this week. November's messing with me. Yes, it is on page 44. But think about what is a challenge? Do you have an area where you could use some more support? Also, the bud that is in your current life. Like, what are you looking forward to? I just put like the holiday season, and I do think my tree is going up this week because I just need that, right? I've kind of stopped watching the news for the most part, and I wanted like just have joy everywhere. So I think I'm going to go ahead and be one of those people. It'll be my Thanksgiving night light. I'm gonna do that. But think about, what could bloom in your life? What's going to happen? What could bring joy? Maybe add a little kindness, the things that give you hope and motivation. Kind of the counter to the thorn you might be experiencing. And then what went well last week? What are you excited for, grateful for? What's a positive thing that has happened to you lately? I want you to share in the chat. We'll do a quick little reflection on that. And then, of course, I've kept this little graphic in about those thorns. Remember that those thorns are happening for us, not to us. And framing that out can be so beneficial as to how we move forward amidst those thorns. Thank you all for sharing in the chat. Man, those thorns, whew, some of y'all have some double whammies. And the main thing, I know, whoops, my phone just said my watch just said she didn't know what double whammy was. That kind of scared me. Um, what I do know is that through those thorns, I see a lot of intentionality in embracing your life and taking care of yourself to better weather those storms. So, thank you for sharing. As you were comfortable. There's no pressure to share, but if you do, just know that we are here for you. We're here for you regardless, but sometimes just putting it down and knowing that other people are holding that with you is very helpful. I want to invite you. We're going to take a very quick look at our currently page on page 39. I know I got that one right. And if you've already done this or you do some check-ins with yourself throughout the month using this page, please feel free to share a couple of the things that are already there. And if not, look over this list and think about, what are you loving? What are you currently feeling? What are you enjoying? Anticipating, wishing, reading, watching, planning, and maybe start jotting some things down. And I always love this page as a reminder to go back and look at your intentions page for the month. Check in with that. Are you leaning into the intentions that you had set a couple of weeks ago, or do you need to shape those up a little bit to better reflect what is now going on in your life? Give yourself permission to do that. Also, check your big O habit tracker wheel. If you're noticing something that you put on there that hasn't really been, looked at, give yourself permission to write those days off and maybe change one of those habits to better suit. Maybe your habit for that area becomes, I gave myself grace. And then you start checking in with that every day. It's okay to change that habit tracker up in mid-month if it's giving you some data that, oh, I need to kind of reset here. I'm going to put on just a quick little bit of music while we do that. So again, feel free to share in the chat as you're comfortable, and then we'll get on with the rest of our setup. Oh my gosh, Alyssa, that makes me so happy for you. If y'all didn't see, we can take a little bit of Alyssa's energy into our life. She says, I am enjoying looking at myself in the mirror as I get ready. My clothes look different. I feel like a skinny mini, long time coming. I love that confidence. And I challenge all of us who were gathered here today to take Alyssa's energy into the reflection that we see today. Thank you for sharing that, Alyssa. That just gave me a boost. So, as we're working through the rest of our setup, something on your currently page you want to share, just drop that in the chat. I'm watching the new season of Landman, and I'm so excited because my son-in-law is actually a costumer on that show, and he got to dress Billy Bob Thornton. And so I watched last night. It's out again, and I'm like looking. And I'm so proud of him. Isn't that so cool, Veronica? So anyway, that's what I'm watching. Yes, and Sam Elliott's on this season. I cannot wait. He's got the best voice ever. But anyhow, so yeah, if y'all are Landman fans, look, shout out to Billy Bob's costumer. So now let's look at our weekly setup for 47, and it's on page 46 and 47. Um, and here, thank you, Sonder family, for sharing your pages. Here's our show and tell. So you can just see how this is set up. I want to point out Gloria is the one on the left, and she is some of y'all are very consistent about posting your pages, so thank you when you do that. Yeah. But I want to see her habit and activity. She just wrote the little words, did I? And instead of putting movement there, she says, did I enjoy movement? Did I foster creativity? And she's answering that question, that tracker, with a Y for yes. So that's just a little shift in looking at that section, which I think is lovely. She has her busy bees there from her weekly goals. And so she's asking, she's got be curious, be active, be creative. So just that fun way of setting that up. She wanted to spread kindness. And then the one over there on the right, look at the garden of grace, dance with delight and joyful presence. I don't know, those words just kind of spoke to me. I thought that was so beautiful. And then, nurture my garden of relationships, plant seeds of connection in resonance resonance, prune weeds of old stories, like that self-talk, right? I mean, it was just a beautiful way of putting all of that in. Oh, thank you, Radhika. I love the words. The words are just so poetic and beautiful. Move with joy. I love that. Tend to Sonder. What is Sonder? So say I can't read that word. Sorry. But again, just beautiful ways of putting that in there. And I always appreciate y'all sharing in Sonder Club, because then we can throw some examples up. So yeah, you're talking about your knees for sure. They're so important. So we're going to start with how we want to feel this week. That's going to kind of be our driving force for the rest of the things that we put on this page. So tell us, how do you want to feel this week? What are you wanting to bring into your life? Think about what might be coming up. Now, you may want to sit on this feeling for a minute and work on the rest of your page, and then take a look at the big picture and come back and plug in a feeling for that. You don't have to do it right this second. Um, as I said last night, I think I'm going to do what I don't want to feel, and that is behind, because that's what I'm feeling right now. So I want to feel kind of caught up that kind of thing. Accomplished, calm and productive, warm all over, accepted, refreshed, focused, and connected. And Janine, I love that you've got like all of those words because you don't have to do just one feeling word. You can do lots of feeling words. You can do a quote, a sticker. Maybe you've got a sticker there, energetic. We all need a little bit of that. Lovingly connected or happy. So take those words now. We're going to look at our weekly goals and our to-dos. So we always like to point you back that intention page. That's what we said we wanted for the month. So go peek at that. And again, maybe another look at that habit tracker. Personal challenge, of course, doing those categories. If you're here for the first time, sometimes it's nice to just take a set of three words, and then plug in a goal that will fit those categories. Or we've been embracing the idea of November. What do you need to say no to? Put boundaries in place, let go of something. So maybe your goals become kind of, no centered this week. Here are some great examples of just to go the to-do spaces and the goals. Sometimes folks will they set their three goals and then the to-dos are directly influenced by those three goal set. And then other folks just use the to do, the to do list is just stuff that needs to happen. They're not directly connected to the goals. And sometimes we just leave those to do spaces blank and use it as a to da space. And the extras that didn't happen or that happened that were not already on your list, like give yourself credit and write those down and celebrate those. Um, I wanted to show the one at the bottom left there. You can see that they've just swapped the places around because I think they like that graph paper there to keep the to-dos kind of straight. I love those little spaces that do have the little graphs. It just does make it easier. So you can just flip those around if that is more settling in your mind to use that way. Now, some more examples. You can see the weekly to-dos for the one that is on the bottom right are directly related to those three goals that were set. And so like number one is housework. So the first line, the first space of the to-dos are all the things for housework, etc. And then you can also repurpose this space with your routines, your habits. A lot of times when I get out of sync, this is where my morning routine goes. And then I'll use that shopping list as my evening routine and just using those grids, making little check marks. It's just very, very helpful to me to do it that way. So let's work on those goals and to-dos just briefly, and then we'll come back and look at our habits and activities. All righty. So um, we got a little start with those. Y'all finish that up, and then let's talk about our habits and activities for the week. This tracker can have the exact same things that are on your monthly habit tracker. But because this is designed as a habit or activity tracker or and activity tracker, you can change this up from week to week to week for the things that are really going on in real time that particular week. I always use the example of like if you share carpool duties with someone, maybe carpool pickup is on your activity tracker, and then you circle your days that you are actually responsible for that, just so you don't forget. I use this space for a medication that I take every third day. And so, that gets a little wonky. It's not like, the days get shifted a little bit. So it's very helpful for me to circle those days when I take that medication. We've got some habit ideas for November based on maybe some goals that you have. So if you want to be more organized and productive, that's that first line. Or if you are looking to just have that feeling of happiness and health, that's some suggestions on the second one. And then if you need to kind of shift your mindset to a positive one, there's some suggestions there. I'll go back and forth between the slides while you work on this space. Now, I shared this last week because I think focusing on the proper chemicals in our body, what goes into our brains, is so important. We know that we get dopamine hits when we do social media, right? And so sometimes that mindless scrolling does just give us a little hit of dopamine, and that's what we need at the moment. But hours and hours of that isn't necessarily so good for us. That's not the best way to get that reward chemical. So here's an example of someone who is really going to focus on dopamine, oxytocin, serotonins, and endorphins. And they're going to track by every day doing those four things and hopefully spelling out the word that says dose, getting that dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And Nicole, thank you for sharing that because I think this is such a great example of how we can hold ourselves accountable to make sure that we're doing enough of the good stuff for us. So I love that. I wanted to share that again. And I have another graphic about good dopamine hits by you'll see for our second page setup. So kind of you might want to keep that in mind. It's coming. Again, I've called out to the idea of saying no to things, putting that those boundaries in place, taking things away that don't serve you. So here's a couple of examples, including maybe saying no to the habit and activity tracker this week. If that's what you need, there is no one who will grade this. It's okay to say no to spaces in your journal if it just makes you feel overwhelmed. So, a couple of examples of what saying no might look like. And then here, are some great examples of trackers from our Sonder family. Circling the days that things should happen can be very helpful. You are welcome to set a number of goals for these things to happen, but you also don't have to set goals. Notice the one at the upper right. There's that idea of, you can take these circles and divide them in half. So maybe you're doing an AM and a PM check in for something. That's a great way to use that. And then finally, we have some habit tracker ideas that might inspire adding something new to your tracker this week. So, yep, no journal police, no journal police. We don't get graded on these. So let's work on our habits and activities for the week and share what you'll be doing in this tracker, or if you're deciding to say no to it. Drop that in the chat. Let us know. Gina, I love that you are starting to add some of the holiday to-dos here in your tracker. That's a really great framing. I may need to do that and pull, just do a little bit every day, get ready for the upcoming season. And then that will make me happy because it'll give me some some good chemicals dumping into my brain. So we're going to pop over as you're finishing this page up. We're going to pop over to our second part of our setup. And this page I love because, I'm going to show you a lot of great ideas from Sonder Family, as well as some good graphics that are just out there that could go in any of these spaces. This page tends to get very repurposed. Of course, you're invited to use it just as it is. Put your meal plan in the meal plan section. Put your mind, body, health in in that section. Do a shopping list on here. But I do know that lots of us already, we like to do this interchangeable, and it could be that your meal plan is only your main meal of the day, kind of that maybe, dinner time, supper time, and you do the main meal, and it might go in a smaller space so that you can use those big spaces for other things. So here is the list of the national days of this week. So I'll be sure to go back to this when we're working on this page. But we've got some fun things coming up for us this week, and that's always just kind of a fun way to frame things out. It's quite a cranberry focused week. We've got Cranberry Relish Day on the 22nd and Eat a Cranberry Day on the 23rd. So I guess we're officially in that season, but sometimes this is just a really lovely way to get excited about the day, where it might make you go like, Princess Day. What does that look like for you? Go find a crown and wear it around your house while you're decluttering. But it can just add a little bit of joy to your day. So that's sort of fun. Here are some examples of the meal plan. All of these examples show how people have set up this space where it's around their nutritional needs. Maybe you are using it as a tracker for like the proteins, the macros, that kind of stuff, but you can also just put like the main meals here, plan that out. Maybe you do it as you go, so it becomes an actual food tracker. It's all about taking what you need for that. But here's some great repurposes. We can see affirmations there on the left, some appointments in the middle, looking at a one good thing that happened in the day reflection. Of course, we always call out to the 7 types of rest. If you are new to this, we think rest is the bedtime at night, but there's also a lot of different areas in our life where we need rest: emotional rest, sensory rest, rest from social. Maybe our social rest is not in a place where it needs to be. And really honoring who you are as an introvert or an extrovert. That can look very different for people on how they find that. Oh, yes, find out what kind. Betsy, I love that. So Betsy's going to do the princess quiz. I love that. And embrace Princess Day. And then we're looking at some mind body health. And again, some of this could go in the meal planner if you wanted to. So maybe you play Wordle, you track there. We do like the little mini reflections like 5 minutes for me, or how do I feel? What do I need? Those kind of, how did I nourish my mind, body, soul? So just that little reflection, or you could put plans here. This is usually like my selfish space where I just really try to focus on it, my self-care. And that varies from week to week. Sometimes I need to work on my spiritual self. Sometimes I need to work on all the time I need to work on my physical self. Sometimes I need to be sleep focused. Sometimes I need to be food focused. So I kind of consider this, the Jennifer box. But lots of ways to set it up. You could do cleaning list, chores, packing. Your holiday planning can start going here. I love the idea of a calmness scale if you're trying to track how calm you're staying. And then we've got the shopping list set up in a lot of different ways there. Bingos, oh my goodness, bingos are so motivating for some of us. I'm a bingo gal. I almost always have a bingo here in the shopping space, unless I'm using it for my evening routine tracker to get myself back into a routine. But bingos are fun. So there's an example of a birthday week bingo. So I know we've got some birthday folks here. Or you could do an anniversary bingo, or you could do a best friend bingo. You could kind of do a little mini thematic bingo for the week. And it is a fun way. It just feels so good to check those things off. And then I've got some great graphics that will inspire any of these spaces. So, ways to fill your cup. Maybe that becomes something that goes in the mind body health plan. I shared this last week. Hygge is that idea from Scandinavia of slowing down, being cozy, embracing a slower season as we begin to winter. So there are some inspirations for that. Yes, a bingo for cleaning, Janine. It works so well. I do a bingo and then I'll put a timer on for each of the tasks. And so I get it done. Some self-care ideas there on the right for the autumn, some things you could do. Maybe that will inspire you, as well as a photo a day challenge. And I love doing a photo a day. And I actually keep track of mine in the 1 second a day app. And it's made me be so much more mindful of looking for small things that might have gone unnoticed. So I recommend a photo a day. There's that daily dose again that you see with the dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And we know that there are really good reward hits from dopamine. That's the reward chemical. But unfortunately, sometimes we do too much and it's not good for us, like the social media. I worked last night with Maya, and she had this dopamine menu, and it is set up as appetizers, entree, sides, desserts, and specials. And this one spoke to me because the desserts for dopamine, the things that, you can have it, but in moderation, right? Like scrolling social media, playing video games. But the entrees are going to be the meatier things, the things, those dopamine hits that are really good for us, like working out, taking a walk, slowing down and maybe watching a really good movie. We're going to get a little bit better dopamine hit through the entrees. Or the sides, right? And the beautiful thing about that dopamine menu is that it's also going to tap into some of the things like like if you watch a movie with someone that you love, right? You're going to tap into the oxytocin, serotonin. If you're walking outside to get that good reward chemical hit, you're also going to get the serotonin from being outside in the sunshine. So it's all these double dippings that we get. But the dopamine menu really, really spoke to me. I loved that. Um, you know, like we all know, we need to eat those good main meals and go in moderation with the desserts. Not, it doesn't say don't do it. It just says there's a place for everything. So it really spoke to me. So I really wanted to share it with y'all. I was real excited about it. Again, here are those mini journal responses that we could do, easy self-care things to bring into your November. And some of those do tap into those 7 types of rest, and another list of gorgeous self-care ideas that we can incorporate in maybe this goes in the mind body health plan for you. So yeah, let's go back on this page. I'll put on some music. Let us know what you'll be doing this week. Y'all did a great job of sharing with one another, supporting each other through what the week may or may not entail, just being kind community to each other. So thank you. We are really glad, Katie and I loved kicking off Monday with you. Thank you for joining us. This has been recorded and it will probably be posted in a matter of minutes. Maddie in headquarters is super fast about doing that, so you'll be able to access this. Katie's going to drop the YouTube link in the chat. We'd love to see your pages, your setup in Sonder Club. You never know when you'll see your pages show up or a section, and I've got stuff from 3 years ago that I use as well as last week. So thank you always for sharing that. Don't forget about our personal life coach, Jenny. If you ever want to check that out, you can easily reach out to headquarters. They can make that happen for you. Thank you for all your kindness, Sonder family. It was really great to see you this morning. Go make it a great week. And then we'll be back next week getting ready for our Thanksgiving celebrations. Again, Katie's dropping some really good links in the chat. So pay attention to those if you need to grab any of them. And we will see you soon.